interview now. Oops, there you go. There we go. All right. Okay, so let's start off with a basic question about your writing. Can you give us a brief breakdown of your writing process? How do you go from inception to culminating a story?
That's really the question. I get story ideas constantly and I jot them down in various places around my house. It's just getting them from idea to actual writing. But my writing process, I don't plan. Like I don't make outlines. I realize that I probably
Answer.
should. I just don't. I don't like outlines. I like to just start and then just see what happens. Like the characters are going to do what the characters are going to do, and I'm just following them to see what's up with them. But I write best late at night, which is probably partly because I'm a horror writer. But
Yeah,
I
that
write
makes
best
sense.
late at night. Yeah, when it's dark and scary. I love to write during a thunderstorm, and then I lose power, and that's no fun.
Yeah, no, feel that. So what are your favorite characters to write?
My favorite characters are I have a I have in the past had a tendency to do Mary Sue characters. Want to avoid those like the plague. Like, and a lot of the fiction that I read, it's like, oh, I'm just a normal person. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I become a magical person, and I'm the most important magical person in the whole universe for no particular reason. Like, it worked with Harry Potter. That was fine, but like everybody tries to do that, and that's what I struggle to get away from. Like, my character is the only person who can save the universe. I'm like, no, no. Um, the novel I'm working on right now, the main character is I haven't decided on his uh, job or career yet. I was gonna make him a writer, but that's also really cliche. Like only Stephen King's allowed to do that. But I like characters who are strong. I like characters who speak their mind and don't just try to please others. I like characters who are bizarre or unique in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, not like overtly quirky. Like I don't like those characters where, oh, I'm quirky because I carry an umbrella and a carpet bag everywhere. Like no, they got to have like real personality quirks. And I also like characters who are imperfect.
So what were your favorite types of books to read as you grew up?
I read a lot of Big Surprise, R.L. Stein. Um,
Shock.
yeah.
That's
I
great
also read a lot.
foundation though.
Oh my gosh, I loved Goosebumps back now. Of course, they're not scary enough, but my kid likes them, so my older one.
Yeah.
Um, so I read a lot of Goosebumps. I read a lot of Bruce Coville, so that was more. He did some alien stuff, but he did a lot of fantasy stuff. I grew up reading young adult fantasy. Um, but then when I was in my like mid-teens, then I read my first Stephen King, and that was it.
It was over.
No more unicorns, no more fairies, all dark, 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 dark.
So if you had to give one piece of advice to a future writer, what would it be?
Write what you know and write what you love.
That's easy and so true.
Yeah.
And what are you working on right now? Anything special?
I'm working on multiple things. Um, I'm working on a second horror anthology of short stories. They're all based on true crime, but made
Oh,
horror.
neat.
And then I'm also working on a novel that has horror aspects of it, but is it's kind of hard to describe, but it involves multiple universes. It's got a haunted house, got a lot of creepy stuff in it, but it's kind of a genre blender.
So horror and speculative.
Yeah,
Very cool.
definitely.
All right. So, and to you.
All right. And I have to find the questions that I made up for you.
They're good ones, really good ones.
I was going to ask something like, what's your favorite purple rhinoceros? But then I remember it's supposed to be professional. So.
Yes. What is your favorite noodle to dance to?
Definitely rotini. Rotini all.
What else could it be? A penne? Don't be ridiculous.
Oh, no, right? No, Penne. Nuh-uh. All right. What do you feel are the biggest differences between your preferred genres, speculative and romance?
Well, both of them are deeply embedded in women's fiction. They always simply start off with a woman who has a question. She hits a struggle. honestly, I'm just transitioning into the romance area right now. Kicking and screaming. I did not want to. Speculative is like where I love, because in speculative, your characters can react to these really extraordinary situations you can throw them, and anybody would react to it. It's like, oh, look, somebody just got impaled by a unicorn. No crap, we're going to respond to it. But like in the real world, it's like, okay, so Sandy said this about so and so. It's so hard to develop a natural response because, you know, people tend to overreact, but if I do it wrong, it's really not credible at all. So I actually am finding romance to be much harder to write.
I believe that. It's like all the plot twists are like first world problems. Oh, she didn't pick up my dress at the dry cleaner. What am I gonna wear?
Yeah, right. And I don't want anyone to want to punch my characters in the face. So
So how did you make your characters unique?
actually, that's the easiest piece because my characters are always based in a piece of me, but also a piece of the people I know. So they are organically unique because they are based in different people. So, and I'm a lot like you. I used to be a planner like crazy. I had, if you saw some of my character boards, they're mixed media, no lie. They hang on a full wall. They're amazing. My outlines, massive poster note post-its all around rooms. And then I discovered that seems really it doesn't write well, it ends up sounding really stupid and fake. So now I'm really organic, so they kind of react the way people I know would react. I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's totally a Brenda response kind of thing. So yeah, it's really easy because people are totally different, so we're all weird in the best of ways.
I love being weird. I have no time for normal.
No, why would you? It's boring.
It is. So what do you like to read?
Right now I read across genres a lot. I'm an English teacher. So at any given time, I'm reading something probably about teaching, reading something about writing. Um, I am reading a memoir. Right now, I'm reading Michelle Obama's memoir.
Oh, cool.
I'm reading a fiction book that I really enjoy. I had a student who gave me a book and asked me to read it. So I'm reading that book because you don't want to let them down. And I'm teaching Crime and Punishment right now. So you've got to completely reread that. It's one of my favorite novels. So it's so fun to teach. But so at any given time, I probably have about 5 different books I'm reading, and they're completely um, genre unique. So uh, I think that it's hugely advantageous though, because I am working with other people's influences. My brain is limited as much as like I've traveled around the world. I've had really extreme jobs. I'm a teacher. I was an engineer. I've had a lot of unique experiences, but it isn't going to change the world where I am a white middle-aged woman from the suburbs. I only can have those experiences by reading other people's stories, reading about the situations, knowing other people. So that's really, to me, reading across genre is the only way to really develop my writing.
That's a really good point. So when you're reading things that you don't write, that's basically why you're doing it, just to get a broader viewpoint.
Well, that, and I'm eclectic as hell. So
Nice. Love it. Yeah, I'm weird. I mean, I write horror, but I read horror, but I also read a lot of like retold fairy tales,
Oh,
which
good stuff.
I love those, right?
Right?
So fun.
I could eat those up in an afternoon, literally.
Oh, that's what I do. I just devour them, and then I need more. They're like Pringles. So, what inspires you when you are coming up with ideas for stories?
um, I have actually written down my answer and now I'm trying to remember it. Um, so I'm probably like a lot of us out here. I am completely weird. When I see something, when my kids start telling stories about people they know, when walk down the street, my mind starts giving backstories automatically, just developing. I've done it ever since I was little. So it's really easy to come up with the start. Where I end up running into trouble is I get probably about 3 or 4 chapters in, I hit a roadblock, and then it starts to sound, like you were saying, Mary Jane, like, cutesy, which is not real. So then I have to go trash that. And then, believe it or not, I actually meditate, which sounds really hippy dippy. I will give you, but I use water meditation. And almost every time I do it, it ends up giving me some kind of spark, something that then leads me to a totally unique, weird place, which is kind of the money.
That's awesome. And nothing is hippy dippy to me. My children's names are, wait for it, Thunder and Legend.
Oh my God, I think I love you.
So I just had to throw one of your questions back at you. What are you working on, and what are you excited about with this?
Okay, so I'm doing the romance. I told you that. Totally unique. I'll tell you what I'm really. Let me start where I found it. Okay, so I'm in the South. I don't know where you are, but in the South we have biscuit shops. So I don't think they
Mhm.
have them other places, but places you go to have biscuits. So I was at a biscuit shop here. It's called Early Bird Biscuit, best biscuits ever if you have come to Richmond. Um, and there was this lady there. She ordered her biscuit. She went and sat at a table by herself and was like grading papers, was completely at peace. Not any like self-consciousness at all about being there. It was clear everybody knew her. And I started wondering, like, how do you get to be middle-aged and you're completely comfortable being completely alone, um, and not feeling isolated, not sending off vibes and stay away from me, but also not being afraid of people think I'm, a loser. She was so cool. And then I started thinking about, as my mind goes, what would happen if she ended up meeting someone? So, a gentleman. Um, it didn't matter. Actually, at first she was a lesbian, but then she ended up going to be straight, which I was a little disappointed in, but it's okay. But I was thinking about, I don't know, I'm middle aged. I'm strongly middle aged. I'm smiling 50 in the face. And I was thinking middle aged romance, falling in love at middle aged is so different than when you're younger, because you have to make space for those people. You don't run pursuing it. You're not, that's not the meaning of your world. Your world is set. You have a family, you have kids, you have whatever, you know who you are. So you have to consciously make a space for this person to come into your life, and just what that would mean to a woman who is middle aged. Like, how do you make that space? As somebody who's been married for over 15 years, I can't conceptualize of how you would have to start a relationship like this when you already have a full life. So, yeah, that's what I'm really excited about. I'm excited to see how it works out and how it just is so different. It really is. So, I'm hoping to tell, a middle-aged love story. So, we're not old and decrepit. We get love. So,
That's really awesome. I mean, my father passed away about 7.5 years ago, and my mom remarried last year. So
wow. That's great. And I mean, I'm sorry about your dad. That's not great, but that she remarried it to have found another person to be able to, add on to her experiences. That's wonderful.
yeah, and it was exactly like you said, like they had to make room in their lives for each other because, he'd already been married. He had grown kids. She had, 3 grown kids with husbands and well, 2 husbands and a wife of our own. She's got, we're 2 girls and 1 boy, but so yeah, she had a totally full life already, and um, it was exactly what you said. They got to move stuff around like a
Yeah, it's a
Rubik's cube.
conscious choice. You
Hmm.
make a conscious choice that I love this person enough to completely, especially if your mom was married already. Like, she doesn't, marriage sucks. Like, I love my husband so much, but marriage sucks. And to already know that and be brave enough to go into it again conscious, like, that's
I know.
so cool.
I know, and the guy is fantastic. He just worships the ground she walks on. It's so cool.
Oh, nice. All right, well, we did our job, and I'm on the wire too. Yay. All right. So I will talk to you later. Thank you for interviewing me, and thank you for letting me interview you.
Well, thank you. It was an absolute pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.